back here this afternoon on a very sort of grey English afternoon. I'm here with the lovely Claudio, the lovely James, and the lovely Nigel. So hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hope you're okay. Happy New Year. This is the first one we've done in 2021.
Yeah,
Hello,
it
Happy
is.
New Year.
Yeah, and what a wonderful year it's going to be. Despite what's shown, it's actually going to be really good.
Well,
Thanks,
let's all hope
James.
so.
Really hope so, James. Yeah, so Nigel.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say that something came to me yesterday, whereby I was kind of thinking that we are very, we easily fall into the trap of us and them. And when I say us and them, I mean us that we consider to be aware. And again, I'm going to stop using the word awakened or woke. I don't like that anymore. Aware of what is going on. And then we have the what we affectionately refer to as the NPCs, the MASK wearing VAX demanding zombies. But then it came to me that there's a whole other group of people, and they're in all of our lives. And these are the group of people, or this is the group of people that just don't want to be bothered with any of it. You know, we all know people that we've tried to quote unquote wake up and I just don't want to know. But then a lot of those people, I mean, I see a lot of it here. You know, none of them are awake, but they still know what the virus really is. And they kind of don't want either side. They're not interested in listening to the politicians, and they're not interested in listening to us guys. They just want to be left alone. They want to go to work. They want to do the job that they actually enjoy doing. They want to go home. They want to spend time with their family. They want to go on holiday 3 or 4 times a year. And they just don't want to be bothered with any of, you know, what we talk about.
Again, are they, Nigel? They're not going to be going away 4 times a year because we can't go anywhere.
Well, this is why these people are gonna start to get pretty angry, I think, because I told you before we came online that I heard that today Westminster's taking a vote on whether or not to ban international travel, and that's a biggie. And there's supposed to be a big protest in London or something, but protests don't do anything. The only way we can
work when we're a country that imports most of our stuff? How does that work?
Well, it's no coincidence that this all happened at the same time as the quote unquote Brexit. I mean, you know, if people think that these two things are not connected, then they don't have 2 brain cells to rub together. This whole thing has been orchestrated. And I was reading something today on a forum, and this lady had written that she had gone to do some investigation into this Klaus Schwab guy, you know, the guy from the World Economic Forum that wants to do this great reset. And she found out that he was born in 1938. But she can't find anything about him or any information on him before 1971. So it's almost as if since between 1938 and 1971, this guy just did not exist. So she's come to the conclusion that he's just another creation of the quote unquote system. You know, there's a video on my channel that's just entitled 1956. And it's pretty obvious that it's a genuine one, and they're actually talking about 2020 and having this virus, or they didn't call it that, they used the proper word, and that's going to come out of China and is going to infect the whole world or affect the whole world. This is in 1956. This is before any of us guys were born. We've been born into a movie. This is just one great big movie script. You've got all this stuff supposed to be happening in the US tomorrow, that Claudio will know all about. maybe we can get his thoughts on that in a minute. But you know, and it's like, even, I know you hate numbers, Karen, but everything, it's
That's
all
why
connected.
I hate the numbers.
Yeah. But the you know, the pandemic was announced on March 11, 3/11, which, you know, 11/3. And when was the election or the selection? 11/3. You know, just a complete inverse or mirror image of the date that it was announced. And this was another con. If people actually go back and look at that criminal Tedros speech, the words he actually spoke were, the coronavirus could be classed as a pandemic. He didn't announce, and then all the mainstream media were coming out saying, oh, the WHO have announced this is a pandemic. He never said it's a pandemic.
Well,
he never said that.
I just wonder why everything the press is saying, it's the complete opposite. You know, like they're saying everything's bursting and falling at the seams and people are going to the hospital, so there's no one there. So I just wonder how that all marries up when they're saying one thing and something else is happening. Nothing's happening.
Well, the big epiphany is that what they've done is they've put out the true information. You can go on the WHO's website, you can go on the CDC's website, and both of which are just corporations, by the way. They're not government organizations. And they have both stated that there is a 99.8% chance of recovering from a coronavirus. Fauci, sorry, Lara. Yeah. Fauci came out a few months ago and said no need to wear a mask. Then he's saying, oh, you got to wear a mask. So what they've done all the way through this is they put the truth out there, but people tend to believe the lies. It's almost like they want to believe the lies, but the truth has been put out there. And I think what they've done is they've done it that way because it then absolves them from any, let's just call it, for ease of conversation, let's just call it karma. It goes a lot deeper than that, but just for the ease of conversation, let's call it karma. Because their excuse is going to be, if ever they've got to justify their actions, they're going to say, well, we put the information out there. It's not our fault that the people didn't believe it. And that, sadly, that is the truth.
But if they haven't identified it, but then they say that there are strains of it, how can they do that if they haven't identified what it is? So it's all a bit crazy, really. So there's like two sets of information out there. Well, one's with all this in, and then there's another set.
Well, the way that they've covered that, I mean, there's four of us right here on this podcast right now. If all four of us right now went down with the common cold or the flu, just for argument's sake, we would all display the same symptoms: runny nose, bit of a cough, so on and so forth. But if each of us were tested for what we're actually going through, each one of us would show a different, quote, what they call a strain, because your immune system is not my immune system, and Claudio's immune system is not our immune system. Same with James. So each of us as individuals, we all have an immune system, and even though we would display the same symptoms, aka runny nose, cough, whatever, and we'd be classed as having the common cold or the flu, if it went to a lab, each of us would show a different, quote unquote, strain. And there are over 8.6 billion different, quote unquote, strains of the same, what they call a virus. And that's because, you know, every single person on this flat plane, even though we all have an immune system, we don't share the same immune system. So we're all going to, even though we display the same symptoms, if we had samples taken, because we've all got different DNA. So, you know, our immune system might be doing the same job, but your DNA is not my DNA. It's not Claudio's DNA. It's not James's DNA. So if all this stuff is tested, even though it's the same symptoms, yes, you've got a cold, yes, you've got the flu, yes, you've got a virus, This is why there's no quote unquote cure. I mean, curing someone for a common cold or the flu is like curing someone from going to the toilet. Because all it is your body, your immune system getting rid of toxins. Make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for the last since December 2019, and Hygeia, the cleansing goddess, and I can talk about that later on what's going to be coming upon us next month. It's which lines up with the whole us versus them thing. 100%. All we're doing is cleansing, but not toxins. Don't just form in the form of chemicals. Toxins are in the form of anything against the 10 commandments. So if you are very sexually active, that's a toxin. You need to cleanse from that. Anything that you're doing, if you're in control and taking from people, that's a toxin. If you're disrespecting other people's women, that's a toxin. Anything that you're doing needs to be cleansed. And there's an event that's coming upon us. Like I said, if there's time, I can go through it. So 100%, I totally agree with you, Nigel. The symptoms will be different. That's why when you say everybody's feeling something different, absolutely. Whose lungs will be healed, whose kidneys will be healed, whose brain will be healed, whose private parts will be healed. It's a full body. It's a full body and spirit cleanse. So everybody's symptoms going to be different. That's why it was called a coronavirus. It's a coronavirus because our top chakra needs to be cleansed. In order for our top chakra to be cleansed, all other chakras must be cleansed. So they're never going to nail it down. It's already been nailed down. It's this simple. And exactly what I'm telling you. This is part of the age of Aquarius. And Eris, the mother, the Madonna, the Isis, of the mother of all mothers coming, she's preparing to come into her head. She's preparing to come into her head full time in February 2024.
It's a long way, though.
Our baptismal sequence that we've all been practicing for last 2,000 years during the Piscean age was to hold on to this so that we know that it was coming. So we could spend day and night trying to figure shit out, but at the same time, we need to be forgiven of our sins, so to speak. And our sins lie inside our chakras, inside our vibrations. Until every one of our chakras are pure and clean, and that ain't just a diet, it is every one of our senses. Every one of our vibratory senses must be purged and cleaned, including the top one. The top one is the one that's been needs the most cleaning for a lot of people. Greed, over sexual activity, wants, desires, all desires that don't serve us in the minimalistic form need to go. That's what's upon us. They'll never figure it out because it's easy. It's too easy. It's in plain sight.
Claudio, what happens to those people who don't do an awakening thing right now? Because you've always said it's an awakening. It's obviously going to be different for every single one of us. But for those that are, like, say, the miserable, whatever it is, shut down sheeples, if they don't learn anything now, what does that mean for them for the future, to those that are learning now or understanding or growing or whatever it is?
Okay, I think Nigel wanted to jump in there, but the awake means awake in the water. Okay, so you can use whatever term you want. It's all vibratory. We got to jump in with the stream. It's the Moses part of the water story. The stream of one love is no choice. You got to jump in there. So
what about people who think they're awake, but they're not very awake, and they don't get any more awake?
They're going to wonder why things are going to happen to them. It's all in their chart. It's crazy.
Right.
The things that I'm doing with people in their chart is 100%. So Nigel is right. This is a script. And the script is your chart, your birth chart. That's your DNA. It is a labyrinth, though.
He thinks it's worse than that, Claudio, because he thinks, well, I mean, not that I didn't know it anyway, but he thinks we're an experiment.
We are in a training camp. That's the best way to look at it because it's all about one love. and we're tethered to one love. And the Piscean age gets to give you that experience of what it's like without one love. Because we truly are gods. God is yin yang, and it's black white. It's our both sides, right, left of our brain, red shift, blue shift. That's what a god is. The Godhead or source, which people refer to as a god. Those, so I'm trying not to veer off from your comment. The everybody is going to feel something unless you know that the mother of all mothers, if you pray to the Madonna, knowing that she's coming home, if you're praying to whatever female entity it is, whether it's Isis, Ereshkigal, Persephone, Mictlantecuhtli, Freya, if you're praying to her and knowing she's coming back and you've been good and never did anything against the 10 commandments, those people are going to have a free ride. Those cleansing energies end up turning into strengths. Once those chakras are cleared, they become strengths. The amount of guidance I get per day by animals, insects, winds is incredible. They keep coming hour after hour, because as you cleanse your chakras, they give you more and more. I'm not there yet by any means, because I have things that are still really cleansing that are not very comfortable. But at the same time, I know that this is what's happening. It's in the stars. People are looking all over the place, but it's in the stars. So I'll leave it with that.
I totally agree. If I can just jump in here, what I was going to say a minute ago was, when you were talking about the chakras, you were talking about, sex and greed and so on and so forth. And this again gets into the deception. If you look at there's a passage in the Bible, I can't remember where it is, but most people will know what it's know what I mean, when it talks about the pleasures of the flesh. Now, if you look at that in the basic context, the pleasures of the flesh, you automatically think of what you automatically think of, and I don't need to say it, but the pleasures of the flesh actually means material things, the money, the big house, the big car.
But they've turned us into this, haven't they? Into the
Yes.
They've made us want houses and cars and holidays, and then they take them away.
Yes, they turn.
What is that evil?
But when it comes down to what Claudio just said, about the consciousness side of it. I mean, the way I see humanity, I essentially, I've said this before, that for ease of understanding, I see the creator source as being a beach, and each of us are a grain of sand that makes up that beach. So, in other words, we're all having different experiences at the same time, yet the source or creator, whatever you want to call it, is actually sharing those experiences. He, she, whoever is getting all those experiences from each and every one of us. He's getting experiences from the beach. He's giving, we'll call it him. Yet each grain of sand is on that beach is having his own experience, because we are all God particles, if you want to look at it in that sense. But yeah, everything has been twisted. Everything in this realm has been twisted. Everything is the opposite. And I've lived in China now for 6 years, and when I look at at what goes on here, the just daily life, everything is a polar opposite to the West. I mean, it literally is. The compass points, east and west, they're polar opposites. Everything, 666 here is considered lucky. Yet in the West, it's, it's the number of the beast. But everything is a complete opposite. Maybe we should let James jump in and give his thoughts. What do you think, James?
Well, I'm going to have to break into song. I can see clearly now the rain has gone. It's going to be a bright, 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 wonderful day. The secret is in the feeling with all this. The world is a stage. So if you imagine that what the media are doing, they're giving you an awful script to act out. And you'll notice there's terms like we're on yellow alert, orange alert, red alert, or we've gone to a code red. Well, look at the colours of those three chakras. It's keeping us in the lower base level. Can I have one of you as a volunteer to ask you some questions, just to give you a perfect example of this?
I've got both hands up. I've got both hands up for your volunteer.
Okay.
Well, James, why don't you see what Claudio says and what and Nigel says? Do it to both of them.
Oh, I only need one of you to illustrate this. It doesn't matter who.
Go on then, Nigel.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, Nigel, tell me about yourself.
Oh God, where do you want to start?
Well, just tell me something about yourself.
Now that is a loaded question.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, most people will say, "Oh, I don't know, depending on your job, I'm a manager at this. I play golf," and it's like, you've not told me anything about yourself. You've told me your ideas and opinions.
Yeah.
This is what has been done. We are not these physical bodies. So to answer the question of what happens to all these people, basically they get recycled and they come back again into a reality that will be conducive to the consequences of their choices in this reality, until they fulfill scripture and realize that, and find the I am inside them and realize they are co-creators. It's as simple as that.
Well, yeah, you're perfectly right, because the obvious answer that I didn't even think of, to be honest with you, the obvious answer for a normie would be, well, my name's Nigel and I'm an English teacher in China. And then you would say, no, Nigel, you've just told me what you are. You haven't told me anything about you. You haven't told me anything about yourself. This is, I'm a human being, a teacher. We're all humans being something. Look at the word being. We use it to classify a living organism, but it's also our job. I'm a human being, a teacher. What are you, a human being? What's Claudio, a human being? What's Karen, a human being? And that's our default mechanism that we just drop into, because that's how we've been indoctrinated.
Our essence. We are our essence.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this is a classic. I mean, you can go through there's so many words in English. I mean, the word awake was just mentioned. I mean, Claudio correctly said that it's the flow of water, but awake is a funeral. It's a celebration of somebody's life after they've died. Awake. We work all week until we're weak, and we're weakened at the weekend. I mean, there's so many examples. I mean, James knows this. He's done loads of podcasts on this topic.
James, what was James's point? We've gone off. He had a point. What was your point, James?
Well, the point is, I mean, everybody unconsciously says it when they introduce themselves. It's those first two words: I am that I am. That's what everybody is. We're personified forms of the creator, and the creator is having an experience. We're all basically in the mind. We're in a great play, basically, and we just have to remember. And when I say remember, it's you don't want to be dismembered. You remind, you remember yourself. You get rid of this system programming that has been put into us that is convincing us everything that we're not. All the external that we attach ourselves to. This is what the system has done to us. It's playing the opposite end of things, tricking us. So because for this thing, it is so elaborate, and you have to ask yourself, why would this system go to these great lengths? So the perfect sort of analogy, I think, is a computer game. If you do the first level and you think, oh, that was easy, that's a bit boring, I want a bit more of a challenge. So the next level, there'll be more obstacles. So what is being hidden from us is that we are collectively individual personified versions of the creator. And that's all we got to do. It's a game to find that's what we really are.
Since the beginning, though, James, they want you to think that you're minute and small and you're nothing. You know, like the sun is a great big thing and 93 million miles away.
Yeah.
And everything's millions and big and trillion ever. But actually, we're the most important thing. You know, I'm not particularly into religion, but we're the church. It's us, the people.
Oh yeah, you've got two temples either side of your head. But yeah, it's going from the state of being somebody, somewhere, and something to being nobody, nowhere, and nothing, and then then eventually you go into the phase of being everything, everyone, and everywhere. That's what. Well,
that is part of that's part of the trap. I mean, you know, what is it that the one word that the church uses, like, oh, bless you. Well, if we look at the word bless, be less than you actually are. You know, I just said about awake being a funeral. Well, aware is something that is sold. I'm aware. Well, you are if you are aware, then, you know, aware is a commodity. It's something that we're sold, that is sold.
Does that mean when, say, Boris talks, we need to listen to every word he says then? Because he's going to be using all these words, but it's going to sound different to people who aren't awake.
Well, yes and no, because, you know, they have the dualistic meaning. They have the meaning that we assign to the meaning. Let me give you an example. Let me give you a really good example. Most people will be aware of the huge Chinese mobile phone company called Huawei. There was a lot of arguments and some big problems in the US about that. Now, Huawei is bigger than Apple, right? Its product is better than Apple. But it's no coincidence that Huawei sounds an awful lot like Yahweh. And even though they don't go into Christianity here, Yahweh is what we would call the devil, Satan, the god of this realm. He calls himself the Lord God, as I've demonstrated in my videos with Harry. But Huawei sounds an awful lot like Yahweh. Now, if we break the word down into the two Chinese characters, Hua and Wei, well, Hua, if you type in Hua, the actual first meaning you get is corona. The third meaning you get is flower, because it does mean both. And if you look at the Huawei symbol, it's got like petals. Wei means to be, to mean, to mean something. What else? He's got half a dozen different synonyms. To see. So if you look at be seen. So if you look at the first character, Hua, and look at the first meaning, which is corona, and then look at Wei, the first meaning is to be seen, it's all there in the language, not just in English, but in Chinese as well. It's like the word Israel. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, ISIS, Ra, and El. But if you switch the E and the A, you get Israel, rather than Israel. And so all these words, yes, they have a dualistic meaning. We have the one that is taken for granted, and then we have the deeper meaning, like I just said, with awake, aware, bless, be less. And I could go on and on. I wrote about this extensively in my first book. Heaps and heaps of words. It's like, you know, we talk about maritime law, you know, admiralty law. Well, we have how many words end in ship? Citizenship, friendship, fellowship, membership. You know, there's dozens of words that end in the word ship. We're birthed. A ship is birthed into its birth when it comes into port. You know, you give birth. A woman gives birth from the birth canal where her waters break.
Into a hospital.
Yeah, the docked oar. DOCKEDORE, the docked oar. you know, it's all there. It's all there hidden in the language. So we allow words to have the meaning that we accept them to have. But when we look a little bit deeper, I mean, even the word hello. Did you know that the word job, if you look at the Bible, the book of Job is spelled J-O-B, but it's pronounced Job for some reason. And Job in Hebrew means persecution, to persecute. So we all have a job or a Job. We're all persecuted. It's all there in the language, hidden in plain sight, but we just don't take any notice of it. Meanings and translations are completely different. A classic example, I mean, I love doing this at school. If I said to my students, what is a Hochschild? They'd say, oh, it's a train. Well, that's the meaning. But Hort means fire and Chert means car. So the actual transliteration means fire car. Doesn't mean train at all. It's the same with mobile phone. Shoji, shou means hand and ji means machine. So even though you say, well, what shoji? They'll go, oh, that's your mobile phone. But if you break the two characters down, shou means hand and ji means machine. So the actual translation of the word means hand machine, which has got nothing to do with mobile phone. It's all a big con.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's what Claudio thinks as well, isn't it, Claudio?
Well, yeah, it's a con. I guess we can call it a con, but it's part of our journey here to see what it's like without love. Again, Piscean age is the redshifted of most redshifts. That means we went from Aryan straight into Piscean, so the complete collapse of our top chakra, so to speak, being lit up. That's why there's so many. What the heck happened? How come all of a sudden, like, everything's gone? Books, this, everything else. Yeah, because we went from being lit up from blue shift to red shift, and now we're going through our next path to reunite, get baptized, right? So the con is part of man thinking that he can control during the Piscean age. Every one of these people, no one is exempt. Animals, insects, every atom on this
Claudio,
earth,
when did we go into the age we are now? When did we go into it then? Aquarius, when did we go into it?
Okay, I'll finish my sentence and I'll go on to that. So every atom of our existence around us is being cleansed. Everything. Every animal, and they're going to want to work together to get to the end result. The best presentation that I've seen was from a French astronomer, because he shows how Bayer, the astrologer, changed what the original sizes of each constellation, and looking at the Dendro zodiac and looking at Ptolemy's. So a lot of people saying Ptolemy's full of you know what, but no, he's not. Everything lines up, and everything, all the synchronicities that I had that line up with charts and everything, it's to me, it's the best presentation that I've seen. March 20th, 2020. So 3/20/20, which really is the first month. When you look at the months, October is really the 8th month, November 9 is the 9th month, December is the 10th month, that's decimal 10th. So the real 1/20/20, right? To me, 1/20/2020 is when we came into the age of Aquarius. But don't forget, there's orbs, right? Just like in astrology, just like bringing two magnets closer together, you start feeling the effects. So we're now into it, and now we're slowly being work hardened and cleansed. So the answer to your question is we're already in it.
Do you know what? Again, Karen's going to hate me for this. Numbers again, but you just said March 2020. That's a 322.
But it's not. March is not the first month. I mean, March is not
the
first month.
No, I said, you said March 2020, which would be, okay, in their calendar would be 322. But what you're talking about, when you talk about the astrology and the constellations, I've now come to the conclusion that that is the main reason why they added 1,000 years to our timeline or to our calendar in 1582, was to confuse what you guys might call the sky clock, the astrological clock. Why else would you add 1,000 years to a calendar or to a timeline if it wasn't to throw off astrologers? What do you think about that?
No, you couldn't possibly watch everybody's videos, but no, we've already uncovered that. Absolutely. That's what this whole astronomer has shown. He goes through all the calendar reforms. He changes everything that they've done and resets it back, including the size of the constellations. And you can see that we're already in, from the beginning of this year, Age of Aquarius. So whether we're off by a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years, it doesn't really matter. It's here. It's now. And everything that we're researching and following lines up with the Dendera zodiac.
Okay, so when
and there goes my ear. See, now my right ear is now whistling. The Dendera zodiac is the only living Bible of what's in the sky. So for those that can't see all the stars in the sky from all the lights down below, the Dendera zodiac is your best bet. And we've just uncovered another thing, which we've talked about in the past, that is lining up with an event that's happening in February. If we have a chance later, we'll go through it.
Right. So could you, just for the benefit of everybody listening to this, could you elaborate a little bit on what you said earlier on about the return of this goddess, and what hope can your information give to just people listening to this, whether they're awake or aware or not? What do you think, based on your research and your knowledge? What do you think we're gonna face over the next few weeks or few months?
It's just simple. We've all gone through every experience that we've experienced in life is happening now, but on a spiritual level. When your parents go away and they say, okay, we're going to go away for a few hours, you kids behave, and we misbehave, and then they come back. She's called already, said she's on her way back. She's been cycling in and out of our head. On January the 11th, she goes direct. In other words, the apparent motion in the sky goes backwards and then goes forwards. Every luminary does it. The easiest one is Venus, because she does it in the shape of a star. So she's been coming in and out of our head already, checking to see if you've been naughty or nice, and then we got to get cleansed. So as long as just know that the mother of all mothers is coming home to save her son is the story. But the son is every human being on this planet. Every atom is coming to be saved, Adam and Eve. The intent is go back to Garden of Eden. So, without getting into too much detail, the answer to your question is just think that the mother of all mothers is home. She's on her way home, and she's coming to park with you in February 2024. The celebration of Easter, when she rises with the sun in 2022, right on Easter. Eris, which is Isis, bar none, is going to rise with the sun totally aligned on Easter 2022. We're supposed to be now getting ready. And getting ready is fasting. And fasting the 10 commandments, all the things we talked about earlier. You got to cleanse everything in your body. Mama's coming home, better clean up house. It's that simple. It's really that simple. It's the story of the Christmas tree. It's the story of Santa Claus. It's the story of the winged woman in the sky. It's the story in every culture around the world. Go look them up. Mictlantecuhtli, Freya, Isis, Ereshkigal, white buffalo calf woman for the North American Indians. I wish I can go and grab them all, but to me, I got enough of them. I don't need to go again anymore. So for
Claudio,
anybody, that's all there is to it. So
Claudio,
go ahead.
Claudio, that when you're talking about 2024, we're still only at the beginning of this.
You're right, exactly. This is like your 40 months of fasting. We practiced that 40, you've heard that 40 days, 40 days, 40 days, 40 days. The number 7, the 7, the 7, the 7, the 7 chakras, and you got 40, whatever facets of time we have now till she comes in to cleanse. You want to cleanse before the stars cleanse for you, because when they come, they just come, and they come hard. And I've witnessed it myself several times for this embodiment, and I watch other people, and we help. And I say I do mean we, okay? I always repeat that. We are helping others. For example, a blind cat brought me together, a brother here who's living on top of the people we're staying with, and he told me he's on 5th. A blind cat brought us together, so he could say to me, I got 5th stage of kidney disease. So I told him, I says, well, have you tried cannabis oil? He says, well, I got the medical cannabis, but I smoke it, and I got the full, but I smoke it. I said, well, that won't for you. I can help you make it. We can reverse that. Oh, and by the way, do you know that for your kidneys, if you take marshmallow root, because Mars is one of the things that light up your kidneys. That's why it's called marshmallow. Everything's in plain sight. That and burdock root. So we're going to make a tincture for you. And then we're going to load that up. That cannabis oil that we make is going to be loaded up with hemp. So high in CBD, high in THC. And we're going to make that oil for you. And we're going to help you. That's what's upon us. But that blind cat brought us together. When I heard that dog barking over and over and over and over and over again, I knew I had to go out and have a look. So I started talking with him, and then after I tried to go feed that cat, because I noticed it was blind, he came back a second time while I was talking to him with Dave Carlson. I was talking to Dave, telling him the story. The blind cat walks by me. That's the kind of stuff they're doing to wake us up, to make us get in the wake, to make us flow those thought currents like James talks about. That's what's upon us. It's really simple. We're in this sandbox. We've got to learn to play together and clean up house.
I actually totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, earlier on when we were when I was talking about this whole thing as a script, when I look at my awakening back in the beginning of 2017, and I know that's not that long ago, but I've probably done more research than people who woke up in 2010. But I've got a direct connection with what happened during my awakening that goes right back to when I started secondary school at the age of 11. A direct correlation. Like I'm not going to go through it now, but it's absolutely mind blowing. So when I say everything's a script, I see the whole thing as being a script. But with respect to what you've just said, Claudio, 1,260 days, 3.5 years after the September 23rd, what do they call it? Something happened in the sky, 23rd of September 2017. 3.5 years takes us to March the 6th this year. And another 3.5 years takes us into 2024. So 2024 has been on my radar for a long, long time. And, you know, so many people I've spoken to, and they go, oh, 2024, yeah. They just think I'm crazy. I'm like, look, mate, 2024 is it. You know, 2024 is going to be so big, whether it starts in February or whether it's in the summer or whatever. But Mark, what do you think about March the 6th this year? Does that resonate with you, Claudio?
Sorry, March 6th, I'd have to go back and look, but
the Revelation 12 sign.
I'm sorry?
Revelation 12 sign. The Revelation 12 sign. The woman was clothed in whatever with the moon at her feet, and she was giving birth. You should be familiar with it, but if you just do a Revelation 12 sign, 23rd of September 2017. It's supposed to mark the beginning of the 7 years of tribulation, the 7 years of the rule of Satan, the biblical Satan. and directly halfway through that, 3.5 years happens to be 1,260 days and happens to fall on March the 6th this year. So I wondered if any of that resonated with you.
Okay, so you're saying March 6th of this year or last year?
This year, March 6th, 2021.
Looking at, yeah. I don't see, I'm just quickly looking. I got that date down. The February 16th is one I'm going to be, the one I'm making a video on, which if we have time, I'll go through it with you guys. Maybe they're part and parcel to one and the same. And you're saying February 6th is related to Revelation 12?
No, I'm saying March the 6th would be exactly 1,260 days on the calendar that we use. So, you know, we all know that the calendar that we use is not the real calendar. But if we go from September 23rd to and add 3.5 years or 1,260 days, it takes us to March the 6th this year. You're talking about February the 16th. Well, what are we looking at? 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks difference. So what are your thoughts on February the 16th then?
Well, it's up to Karen. I like if I want to. Okay, I can just briefly talk about it. That it is the true Valentine's Day. It's a true Valentine's Day that we've been, just like the true Christmas, the true Easter, the true Valentine's Day, the true baptismal waters of age of Aquarius, to all the things that we've been practicing from the breadcrumbs left behind from the Denver Zodiac, all the way through all the different cultures that they've been hanging on to these breadcrumbs. The true Valentine's Day happens on February the 16th. And it's really important. And it's on the dendra. It's in the sky.
Right.
We come out, the Annapurana, Juno, goes back on one side of the chart. And everything is controlled. The whole chart is overseen by Vesta, the Vestal Virgins, okay? I'd rather pull something up to make an image if I'm going to do this, but that's up to you, Karen. So there's important dates upon us.
They've given us all these material days, you know, like they make a lot of money out of Valentine's Day, they make a lot of money out of Christmas, and they're not going to be dates that we can keep because of this stupid virus.
Well, if I could just say something, just very, very briefly, something that's never, ever sat well with me at all throughout my whole life, even when I was a child, is why, you know, Valentine's Day is the same day every year, Christmas is the same day every year, and all these so-called festivals fall on the same day every year, except Easter. Oh, Easter moves, it's usually this, the third Sunday in April, but it could be the fourth Sunday in April, it could be this, it could be that. Why is Easter the only festival or, celebration or ritual, whatever you want to call it, that it's the only one that moves every year? I mean, Claudio's just said that the true Valentine's Day is February the 16th, but we've always been brought up to think that it's February the 14th.
No, Nigel, I'm just saying the event happens. This event happens this year on the 16th.
Oh, okay.
We were just, to me, those are just breadcrumbs, just to remind us that's around this date, things are going to happen. That's why the Christmas day was the 25th. Okay, and then, but really, we have the winter solstice is the 21st. Then we got Christmas the 25th. Then we got New Year's Day the 1st. But meanwhile, January the 11th is when Eris goes direct, which means when she goes inward, or when she goes retrograde, that's when you got to go inward and start thinking about cleansing yourself. And when she goes direct, means you must have already gone forward and go direct. I was going to quit drinking alcohol because there's one of the cleanse things that I have to do, because that's a spirit remover. So I said, January 11th, I'm quitting. Well, I had an episode and I had an experience where every minute felt like an hour, and I could have left. I could have chose to leave. They told me, no, you're going to cleanse now. And I quit drinking after that day. And that was the day before Christmas. All right. So spirit had it out with me. The cat that was here was 100% walking me through it. That's why the Egyptians stay close to cats. She kept me sane. She kept doing things to snap me out of my thoughts, doing things that was just some things she just never did. So these are all the things that are
Well,
upon us.
it's so interesting that January the 11th is 111, which in whichever calendar you look at it, whether it be the UK where we'd write it 111, or whether in the US you'd write it 111. It's still 111. And it's funny you talk about alcohol, because I was talking to my daughter last night or the night before, and she said, "What's your New Year's resolution, Dad?" I said, "I'm not going to drink anymore." And she went, "Oh my God, that's great." I said, "Yeah, but I'm not going to drink any less." But yeah, I hear. Alcohol, smoking, all these toxins. We've got to get rid of them. We've got to quit, all of us. I mean, I know Karen already has. She doesn't drink. She hates drinking. But yeah, we've got to quit all this nonsense. And it's interesting that you bring up January the 11th.
I don't like it because of what it does to people.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a spirit stripper.
When you're into something that's a drug and it's heavy, it just changes you as a person. It makes you somebody that you're not.
I'm not going to mention any names, but there was somebody that I knew a few years ago who was actually kind of related to me. And you could go to any bar, he could come to my house, I could get his house, party or whatever, and you could drink beer with this guy, whiskey, gin, rum, you could drink anything with this guy, and he would get absolutely off his face drunk, and he'd still be good fun. But if he got drunk on vodka, oh my God, this guy turned into an animal. He would rip your throat out if he was drunk on vodka. But if he was drunk on whiskey or any other alcohol, he was great fun. He was fine. But if he got drunk on vodka, he just changed into a demon. So there is something in the the reason why hard liquor is called spirits. I'm totally convinced of that.
We haven't heard anything from James for a little while. James?
I was just going to say the same thing. Maybe he's fallen asleep.
No, I've just been listening. The 1260 days, would you like an explanation of that?
Go on then, James.
Right, well, it equates to 3.5 years. Now, years, days and things are just expressions of the same thing. Hence, we talk about the great year, the great age, which is 25,920. So if you look in the Bible, you've got basically it's saying about Jesus is crucified sort of mid-afternoon. So it's like 3.5 days. It equates to 3.5 years. What everybody will go through is this fulfillment of scripture. You've all had the birth in water, because you've got this eternal battle of fire and ice. There's those two elements with the solar cult and the lunar cult. We're bringing air and earth together, the other two elements, heaven upon earth. So you've had the birth from water. This is about the birth from above, which is individual to everybody. I've had the first two parts of it. You'll know when you get it, because you'll get this almighty pressure at the back of your head in your cerebellum. That starts the process off. Then the second stage is you will see this golden light baby, which is you, and that baby is called David, and it will call you Father, regardless of whether you're in a male or a female form. You will know that you are the Father. You are God. The only way to the Father is through the Son. We're not talking like Son as in the male. We're talking Sun as in solar plexus, the place of the sun within the yellow chakra. And it's when it rises to the heavens, which are in Golgotha, which is the skull. The pineal gland is the creator that is asleep. The power and wisdom is the Christ consciousness that needs to rise up. And this is also what is being shown with Jupiter and Saturn, the Father and the Son, the exchange of the crown. What they've done in the mirror thing, desire has taken a negative twist into insatiable greed. So we just need to restore it back into, I mean, there's nothing wrong with desire. Desire is an idea, it's an unfulfilled wish. And to not fulfill that wish is the sin.
Yeah, very well
Wow,
said,
that's
very well said.
that's profound. That's profound. You know, and isn't it funny that you know, the lowest chakra, you know, is between the legs, is in the groin, and yet if a man and a woman, if two people desire each other, you know, we're kind of told by religion, scripture, whatever, that that's a mortal
Well,
sin, and you should do that.
that's the mistake, though, isn't it? Because if we desire each other, it should be mentally, physically, and spiritually. So it isn't just the base chakra; it's probably all the chakras, because it's in your top, you know, it's in your head and it's in the physical.
You
But
always in
those
your
people
head.
don't do that. They just want the physical. They don't want the mental, spiritual, and all that side. They don't want that part of them.
Yeah, you're perfectly right. It's in the head, it's in the heart, it's in the spirit, and it's in the physical.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've degraded it to purely and simply the physical. You know, if you desire someone, you want to be with them intimately. You want to be with them. You know, you don't just want their groin. You want their head, their heart, the spirit. You want everything. But what the controllers have done is they've whittled it all down to just, you know, just the physical part. And we all know that that's not what it's all about. If you desire someone, then you desire everything, all of it, as you like to say, Karen, all of it. But it's just the way that we've been indoctrinated. It's the way we've been programmed. So it's what most people believe. It's sick. It's horrible.
And parents obviously don't know this stuff, and they're not teaching it to their children. The schools aren't teaching it. No one's teaching us this stuff, or we're not learning. We only know it because it's in our souls. But a lot of people don't. They need to be helped, and they're not being helped anyway.
Yeah, but that gets down to our own personal journeys and what we're all experiencing now, and what we come together on these podcasts to talk about is now we're coming to understand the inner knowing, not just what we're taught. We're beginning to understand that what we know is the opposite to what we believe, and what we know is the opposite to what we've been taught. And that is to me, that is the greatest part about this. If you want to put a label on it, this journey of awakening is the inner knowing, the inner standing, not the understanding anymore, the inner standing of what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is false. To me, that's the most beautiful part about this whole experience, this whole journey. What do you think, James?
This system encourages everybody to take everything personally because it is a personal lie. If you take the Bible and you take a law book, a specialist musicology book, and so on, you'll find they're all written in English, but what chance does the average person have of understanding any of it? Because if you read it literally, it won't make sense. I mean, it says in the Old Testament about Sarah gave birth to a baby at 90. What it's actually referring to is the astrology. It's the Saturn return. You also notice with this word arise, rising, well, that's why that tennis player, John McEnroe, was saying because it's basically saying you cannot arise. They want to keep you in those lower base physical chakras where this is all about rising, and it's all going on with inside. I mean, I'm just fulfilling scripture. I'm not here to save the world, and this is something all of us do. It is personal. I mean, I basically enacted the flood. I did a breath meditation, and my first sort of visit to the toilet for something solid smelt like industrial chemicals, because the oxygen I'd flooded my body with had pushed out all the stored toxins from all the food and the things that we're given, that we take unknowingly. But yeah, nothing can actually harm you. Just remember that you're an eternal being. You're not the physical body. You're the essence within inside it. I mean, the word sex basically means spiritual energy exchange. I mean, toxic, just see the cross in the middle of that word. It's all there in plain sight. Is a silver thread, and this is what the vial is. I got sent a link to a song called Innuendo by Queen, and it's like, wow, that's got the message in that one as well. And it's like, yeah. The more you sort of start becoming open to this, you'll see this thread of truth is in everything, even what the dark side, as it were, is showing you. The Mr. Global, the technocrat, is what I'm adopting. It was a term, I think, what's her name? Rachel. I've forgotten her last. Rachel well now. She's a businesswoman. She was on the first two Dragon's Den, and because she started speaking out, she's lost her business. She's got the same problems with videos being taken down. She's talking to the business community, who are in like the millionaire class, who realise now that they're no better than somebody on benefits, and this system only wants out of that business class. They only want that top 1%, so they can do like they did to Steve Jobs with Apple and steal your business away from you. They don't care about, because we're not in that club. We're not part of that sort of dark side control system that actually has no power. It's our power that they're using against us.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's that old famous George Carlin quote? It's a big club and you ain't in it. But it's interesting that you bring up the biblical Jesus, because there's something I want to ask you. There's a passage in the Bible, I forget where it is. This is just stuff that I remember, where the biblical Jesus says, I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. How would you interpret that, James?
The same way I would look at the Grim Reaper. It's the scythe. It's to do with harvesting. It's about being cleaved from head to toe. I mean, it's basically what you would do with seeds. You look at your seeds, and the ones that are no good, you would throw back in. This is looking, have we found that light inside us? Because these physical vessels are the garment. We're all wearing masks. The physical body is the cross. It's the garment that we are in. We're not this physical being. That's just houses us, basically. This is what they've convinced everybody, that you are the physical thing and you'll die and that's it. And it's quite the opposite. We're eternal beings. You can't die. You just we're in the carbon copy reality of death. Everything in this reality has a timeline, is subject to time. All you need to do is change your relationship with Kronos, with Saturn, or Saint. It's the same root word as Satan. We are subject to time in this reality. We are subject of time, but you change your relationship, because that's the middle pillar. It's not the solar cult or the lunar cult. It's actually Kronos. Your relationship changes. You sort of rise up a level with it, as it were, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean,
what about what Claudio thinks? What does Claudio think?
Yeah, I mean, James, spot on, man. He's 100% spot on. When you talk about the pillars, that's totally what the Valentine's Day is about this February. It splits, this event splits us right down the middle. It's happening on the gate between Leo and Cancer. That gate is shown clearly. We're trying to figure out what those two little boxes on that gate, top and bottom, what they describe. Because our passion now is to learn what the true meaning of the glyphs are. Because I don't think, you have all these Egyptologists, God bless them, because they're learning as best they can, and I get many clues from them. But I don't think the Egyptians spent all that time and effort to go and look at a glyph that makes a sound of a fart or something, because they're saying they're trying to put pronunciations to it, they're trying to put grammar to it, but it really is metaphysical meanings. So we are being split down the middle on February 16th. So it just doesn't happen on that day. It's the days leading to it, the realizations of it, and then what do you do after it? But the peak is going to be there, and more people are going to feel it. So all these events all mean something. The Saturn-Jupiter alignment meant something. All these things mean something, but they're all the cleanse before Mama comes home. So our pillars, because we have 3 pillars, right? We have the red shift pillar, the blue shift pillar. The red shift pillar is material. The blue shift pillar is spiritual. And the one down the middle is source, Godhead, nous. There's many words from it. Ken talks about all the ancient names for it. So we're being split right down the middle. Our left brain, right brain is going to be cleansed. And it's to do with cleansing with Hygeia and the love and the protector of the hearth, the Vestal Virgins, Vesta. Vesta is going to be on the heart side. So Vesta, the protector of the hearth, the protector of the heart, is going to be over top of the chart with Hygeia on Valentine's Day, where you give hearts to people. Like you can't make this stuff up. And this gate is clearly shown on the Dendera. So all our foremothers and forefathers left are these breadcrumbs that we can go study and learn about. So I choose to read and learn what the true Bible meant. The existing Bible, like when Nigel speaks, I get invigorated because those all have metaphysical meanings. And when you read between the lines, you go, oh, yes, that's awesome. That's what that means. So God bless the Greeks for trying to convert it, but when you don't have the premise of metaphysics, you can't reinterpret our whole existence when you're doing it in Piscean age, when all you're thinking about is material. And a little bit of pressure from Vatican and people making sure that they keep their pixels. So yeah,
Claudio,
is 100%.
Claudio, bro, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah, in a nice way, because I just want to hear what you think about what I'm going to say. When you talk about the pillars, let's just call them for now the 2 pillars, the red and the blue. The first thing that springs to my mind is Samson. You know, the story of Samson, that if he had his hair cut, he would lose his strength. And if you remember the film from years ago, he actually essentially killed himself by standing between the 2 pillars and pushing those 2 pillars over, or destroying them. Now, when you correlate that to the biblical Jesus crucifixion, where he's on the cross with his arms outstretched and he got another guy either side of him, which could represent those 2 pillars, and his arms outstretched pushing those 2 pillars. But it's funny that when you actually look at the Samson story in the Bible and you look at the word strength in the original Hebrew, the meaning of strength is small serpent. How would you put that into perspective?
Yeah, that's actually really easy. Our right and left pillar are 2 snakes. They're 2 vibrations. The white yang, the black yin. The 2 pillars that I got goosebumps from head to toe when you talked about that. I totally forgot about that movie and when he pushes those 2 pillars apart. So that's why the symbol of Ophiuchus, I got a few to give you. That's why the symbol of Ophiuchus has got the Ouroboros, the snake stopping it from eating its tail. That's why the Egyptians show the snake coming out of their forehead. That's symbolic of, I've got my redshift snake under control. I also now, when you see 2 snakes in the Egyptian's head, that means they've reached enlightenment. And when you see Amun Ra, which is in all parts and purposes us, And in the Egyptians, it's his story, which is our story going through. Those aren't a bunch of kings and queens that used to rule. No, those are rulers, meaning measuring sticks. And how do you measure on the different aspects of how Amun-Ra, who has those two little light beam things, I'm not sure what you call them there, and this is where I can get help from some of the Egyptologists, those two things coming up the top of his head, that's his intent to control those two pillars. So 100%. When you said that Jesus is pushing those two pillars, those two other people on the crosses, that makes total sense too. So that's our wisdom and our knowledge to know that we are not this is not our true self, this embodiment, and that the one within us is in the middle pillar, our one love, and the two other pillars, one is an image of God, so to speak, an image of source, and the other one is our consciousness, our ability to create, to be gods, to be creative, to manifest, to want. But be careful what your wants are and desires. So I hope I answered your question.
That makes so much sense. But listening to what you just said brings me to another question. Something that I thought I got my head around. If you look at the staff of Hermes, where you have the staff that's got the wings at the top, and you have the two intertwining snakes or serpents, and you have the biblical Jesus, which we know is all allegory, but you have the biblical Jesus talking about, the middle way. And when you look at the caduceus or the staff of Hermes, whatever you want to call it, the way that you have the two snakes intertwining around that staff, and if you was to allegorize one side, let's just say the left side being evil and the right side being good, and the way that the snakes intertwine around the staff, yeah, that's the one with the snakes going around it. So if you were to say, just say for argument's sake, the left side as you're looking at it is evil and the right side is good, then each of those snakes at some point, as it's intertwined up the staff, is either on the side of good or the side of evil. So good could be evil, evil can be good, which basically correlates with what the biblical Jesus was saying about the middle way, and at the top you've got the wings. So if you want to escape, then you've got to go the middle way. But what about how that symbol has been bastardized with respect to the medical industry? If you go look at the symbol for the WHO, for argument's sake, I mean, I've got one right outside my door on an animal hospital where you've got the staff that you've just put up on the screen, but you only have one snake instead of two. Why do you think that might be?
Same reason. You control one snake or you control both snakes. So it depends, and then it depends which snake they're talking about. So and don't forget, while we were in the Aryan Age, the real Freemasonics, the Freemasons, the real Romans, the real monads, they were all sharing this truth. But then when people jumped into, every one of us, and we've probably been through, because in our lifetimes we've been reborn and reborn and reborn and reborn throughout the whole Piscean age. We all had experiences of using the white snake because the black snake went to sleep, so to speak, so we can have this experience. And this becomes the not easy part. Everybody out there is playing their part. Although they had choice, karma will get to them. We got to forgive them. We have to pray for them. And we got to know that they're infinite just like us, and they're still our brothers and sisters. Because although their white is different than ours, their black is the same, and they have the same source. So the other test upon us is to make sure that we still love them from a distance. We don't have to like them, we don't have to be with them, but we still love them and forgive them, and see that they're also going to go, oh shit, did I do that? Because there's still time to change their road they're on. and nobody's
Yeah.
exempt. No one, not one person's exempt. And as soon as you jump into that thought stream, that river of heaven, and you start going with that flow, you'll find that all you're going to do is start meeting people, animals, insects, whatever, that are on the same page as you, and you're going to now be swimming in that stream. That's why there's two fish in Pisces, one going with the flow and one going against the flow towards the middle, right?
Well, there are
Hey,
two.
Orion, can you lead the Mazarov through the ages? Right. Or can you start swimming towards the middle point being source?
Claudio,
So
did you have
There are.
something that you wanted to show us?
Karen, can I just?
Because
Claudio, can I just?
wait, we've been going for an hour and a quarter now.
Okay.
Just to know whether Claudio had something he wanted to show us.
if you guys want, it's basically what I just told you about the February the 16th and just in images. I can go over it really quick if you like.
Go on then.
Well, hang on one sec, Claudio, Karen. That'd be great. But I just want to, before I forget, I just want to throw in two things, two very quick sentences that reflect directly to what you've just said. It's not too late to change the road you're on. Wasn't that a line in Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven? It's not too late to change the road you're on.
One of my videos. Yeah, so then
Okay.
every one of my videos.
And the second thing, when you said about people not understanding, what flew into my head was the biblical quote, and I'm not being religious in any way, shape, or form. The biblical quote, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." It's right there, isn't it?
100%. And just so you know, when you talk about the Bible, I get invigorated because, number one, I know that when somebody is speaking to me, there more than likely is a key in there for us, because I'm a key collector. We are key collectors to put this puzzle together. So please do it anytime, because we are trying to vibrate each other to truth. We are trying to induce each other to be cohesive, just like a magnet, right? We're all trying to spin like a top all together in unison. So please do. It's invigorating. Although we got to read between the lines, they still go click.
Yeah, and to be honest, and I'm saying this for the people listening to this, not for the four of us that are on here. Quite often, Karen and I will have chats and conversations, and she'll say, "Nigel, I know this," and But what we're doing is the way that we come together on these podcasts, and and the four of us get together and share information. A very, very good example was Karen's friend Gary, when he listened to a podcast that Karen and I did. I think it was the first one we did, and he was just blown away. And he's like, "God, it just joins so many dots." And if what we're talking about, even though we're pretty much all on the for want of a better word, we're all on the same rung of the ladder, pretty much. We've all got different experiences and different information that we're sharing between us that hopefully can help wake up our brothers and sisters. So yeah, bro, please go ahead and do your presentation with.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I'll just go through this really quick. It's just a video that's in progress that I want to try to put up. We want to try to put out before, probably around the 1st of February. So Karen, she's like, she helps me out so much by having these hangouts, and I try to get something together for that. So it motivates me to do my work. And Karen's awesome at what she does, bringing people together. She's doing all the right things. So 2021, it's going to be called Valentine's Mass over the Acres. So basically, Mas means Ma, and the two S's are the two pillars. The MA, that's the Alpha, and the M, that's the Mother, that's Virgin Mary. That's also the two pillars shown there. So I'm calling it Mass over Acres because they say that the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Well, no, it's not about that. The massacre is mass over acres. We have to cleanse over the whole land. That's what it means to me. So what's happening on February 16th, you will see that this whole side of the chart, let me make my cursor bigger, sorry. So this whole side, the only two luminaries are Vesta in Leo, the heart, and Hygeia in Cancer, which means magnetism, which means your whole vibrational body being is the symbol of Cancer. It's not a crab, it's a 6 and a 9. It's a yin and a yang, it's magnetism. So Hygeia is going to be there with this symbol you talked about here. That's what she represents. Hygeia's glyph is that. See her glyph right here? She is that. That's her glyph. She cleanses. When she went through Taurus, all the people started getting flu symptoms. Okay, she's in Cancer now. All kinds of people are getting different things related to your vibrational, mostly to do with fluids in your body, blood, phlegm, those type things. So Vesta is the protector of the hearth, the Vestal virgins. She wants virginity. She wants people to be clean and not those desires. And you can see the Madonna is behind her. So she's an agent of the Madonna. So the split is between the South Node and the North Node. Then you see all the other planets are on the other side. These two are controlling the path. So this represents a gate. I'm going to move on. Here's how it works. Kurt told me, and this is verified by many other people, that split of that gate between Leo and Cancer is the solar houses, your left brain, and the lunar houses, your right brain. So there's a gate there. That's why there's a us against them. My wife told me that tomorrow there's a big rally where they got a street where everybody's closed on one side, or sorry, on this, the 6th, today. There's a big rally where one side of the street, all the restaurants are open because they go for Biden or Trump, I'm not even sure which one, and the other side is the restaurants are closed because they're going for the other guy. So it's us against them. So it's the solar guys against, so I don't know if I would tend to think that people that aren't wearing a mask are more on the going in the wake versus other, but that's an unfair statement because I don't really know. But this, yeah, we're the light, my wife, Kathy said. So this is the whole thing that's happening upon us, and it's starting already. So I just threw it in this form here. Like I said, this is a work in progress, but Juno was over top of this whole chart with all the luminaries last year. She is now crossing, and I lost that part, but she's just on February the 16th, she passes the South Node and comes out of her Anna Perenna. Juno represents the mother of the day, the solar mother, whereas Eris represents the queen of the underworld, the queen of the night. So she's done her job.
Claudio, can I?
Yep, sure, go ahead.
Can I just throw something in that I've just seen? Juno, you know.
Sure. Yep. She is represented by the Glenda, the White Witch. I can't remember the name of the other witch, the black one, which I should be, but doesn't matter. That's Isis. That's the mother of all mothers. These two here. She's faster moving. The slower moving ones are the more pure ones, but they're all important. Moving on to the Dendera, you can see right here. Sorry, I'll zoom in a little bit here. Right at the Cancer, the crab, Leo, the lion, you can see that Cancer is more inward. It's a step inward. So this gate is shown on the Dendera zodiac, and you can see that there's two little markers on this gate that separate Leo and Cancer. And these two here, we're going to be deciphering. So that's just basically it in a nutshell. This Valentine's Day is going to be about cleansing your heart, your hearth, embodiment. In order to get to this point here, we got to clean all these. And the sexual desire thing, that's got to, from our research, the sex has to be divine sex, planned sex. Planned, when I say planned, it's probably not the right word, but that part there we're still trying to learn about. But to have full body orgasms that people talk about don't require sex. I mean, excuse me, don't require penetration. They're incorrectly calling black tantra still a sex, but black means you're having the motherly love. When you lose, let me say, when you lose your fluids for that instant gratification, what usually happens, you both get up and walk away. Whereas if you don't do that and cuddle and hug and kiss and get that whole feeling of love inside you without, it stays with you all day. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, again, if I can interject here, I know I'm being a pain in the arse, but to me, there's always been a huge difference between sex and making love, even though most people regard them pretty much the same. What you're talking about here, once you've exchanged bodily fluids and, having a kiss and a cuddle and everything afterwards, that is more what I see as making love rather than sex, even though we consider them to be pretty much the same thing, but they're totally different.
You're talking about intimacy. Intimacy is the real thing.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, intimacy is making love. Sex is just wham bam, thank you, man. See you later.
Exactly.
Down the back entry behind the bike sheds. Thank you very much. That's not making love. No.
Just say that word over to yourself again, intimacy, and you'll get in tame sea. You don't want choppy waters inside. You want calm seas for a prosperous voyage.
Oh, wow, James. Where did that come from? In tame sea. Yeah. Wow.
I've got a few more, but I'll let Claudio finish explaining.
No, that's it in a nutshell, man. We are getting our pillars cleansed. It ain't happening just on February 16th, but February 16th, you can see all kinds of events leading to it. Everybody's trying to pick their side, but they got to realize that we're supposed to meet in the middle, and we will. There is no choice, people. There is no choice. We are tethered to source. We're tethered to mama. Mama's coming home, and deep down inside, we're all getting woke up, and we all got to start being loving. It's invigorating to know that this is happening. The banks will crumble. The CEOs. I just want to say my one prediction, James. I'll let you go. This year is going to be the most amount of CEOs quitting and bankers, politicians quitting, resigning, retiring, faking exits, the most common law courts opening up around the world. That's our prediction for 2021, because they're all been Scrooged and they're all going to continue on and they're all getting cleansed. There is no escaping it. Spirit is taking over.
I share that prediction. I've been saying the same thing for at least 2 years. I'm totally on board with that. Karen, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's all a learning progress, isn't it, really? Well, we're left with going deeper in ourselves because most of us are locked in our houses. So sort of, that's what you're left to do, isn't it, really?
You're not locked in your house. You're
well, no.
obeying their script.
Yeah, you know what I mean, don't you? Most people feel that they're locked in their houses. I mean, I go out, but I am kind of locked in my house. But I think I've been locked in my house for a long time. Carry on, James. Finish off your bits that you were going to say, because we've been going for an hour and a half now. So, yeah, carry on, James.
Okay. Well, big thankful for being locked in, because what better time to start meditating, because meditating is just reprogramming yourself. It's repetition. You're reinventing yourself. So just go back over a few points. The crucifixion, you've got Jesus in the middle and you've got two robbers either side, their past and future. In Egypt with the twin snakes, I mean, this is your first United Kingdom, the Upper and Lower Egypt. But we need to be in united states of unconditional love. It's states of mind, not physical states that they've twisted it to. But the other things I'm just picking up on from what Claudio said, I mean, if you bring in the vowel shifts and things, I mean, Vesta, well, a Vesta is a vista, which is a splendid view. The other side of that, it's Hygeia, which is obviously hygiene. It's the higher genes, the higher aspects. And Juno, it's due knowledge, the meaning of Jew is nothing to do with nationality. It's nothing to do with religion. It's in service of the creator. The jewel in the crown, it's the third eye. It's all been shown to us. This is the veil lifting. More and more, it's like you'll see that silver thread everywhere, in everything. It's amazing. This is the real magic. We are in for a wonderful time. What you've Nigel and Claudio have both said about all these people stepping down. Here's your biblical flood part coming out where the abominations are clambering over each other to save their own necks from drowning. But they will drown in their sea of lies. Their time is up. This is wonderful.
Thanks, James. We've been going for an hour and a half now. We never get to the end of this. It's talk upon talk upon talk, isn't it? I just wondered if everybody wanted to spend the next, 5-10 minutes talking about what we've talked about today. I don't know, we start with Claudio.
Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome hangout. I think we're doing the right thing. We're all speaking and wondering why this is all happening. To me, it's very clear. It's very simple. Just remember, you got to be forgiving to everyone because they're just playing their script. Your brother it's no different than your brother that you haven't gone along with, or your sister you haven't gone along with, or an aunt or a mother or whatever, that we're all starting to call them up and get back together again. And I got to say the they word is, I used to use the they word a lot, and now it's spirit. Spirit has this plan for us to go through this mock exercise, if you want to call it an exercise, this training camp to see what it's like to be God's. Be careful for what you create. So just know and be forgiving and be loving with every action and every atom of your body, and watch how things are going to change for you. They're changing for us, and all these synchronicities, having all these dreams in the past, knowing that I'm going to be where I'm at today physically, not spiritually, but physically, and then looking back and go, wow, this was all pre-planned. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a wake-up call for sure, because we get to truly be inspired now, knowing that, wow, yeah, that's what it's like, eh? Whew, glad we made it out of there. But now let's go help everybody else. No, and one last thing is, when you get tempted, no matter what it is, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's desires, whether it's money, when you get tempted for those things, know that that's your old path trying to stay where it's at, where you're going to get crucified, died again, come and be reborn again. Your reincarnation, your re-embodiment. Your body will try and stay on that path. Typical example is being squirreled. You'll be talking to somebody and they get squirreled. That doesn't mean it's not supposed to happen. That means they're fighting to stay on their path unknowingly. So if you're saying something to somebody and it's really important and they're focusing on you, and all of a sudden they get a text or whatever, they got to learn, put that text down. Don't be squirreled. So keep an eye out for being squirreled. In other words, you know what the dog does when somebody says squirrel, he just runs, right? It's like same thing, virus, everybody runs. So just know that that exists. Be loving, be caring. I'm very grateful that Karen and James and Nigel pull these things together, because we can talk and it's just invigorating. So I love it. I love all you guys, and I will yield.
Oh, we love you, Claudio. And thank you very much for what you said. James.
Yeah, we're in for a wonderful time. There's a song came to mind, "Oh Black Hole Sun, Won't You Come?" That's your internal sun rising. That's what it's asking for. It's nothing to do with the sun and the moon. It's all about being the light in the world. It's the internal light. I mean, you're talking to an ex-Illuminati here. That's going to shock some of you, isn't it? But I should explain that. It's unknowingly working for the Illuminati, because it's not what you call the normies and the asleep that are the problem. They want to go back to what they consider is normal. They're not an obstacle to the system. The system knows that there are those, because of the astrology, because that's what they use. They know that there's some of them are some of us are starting to see through the cracks and all their lies. We are the threat. So they give us breadcrumb trails to pick up on. So you've got all the fear porn of 5G, Wi-Fi, we're all going to die, vaccines, we're all going to die. So it's spreading fear, because it creates chemical changes in the physical body, which actually start to make it ill. So when you're feeling expansive from the position of unconditional love, you're actually healthy. I mean, I cuddled Donald Trump and I cuddled Dr. Fauci the other night through a breathing exercise, because they are playing a part, and I forgive them. I mean, Donald Trump is a brilliant actor as far as I'm concerned. He's got half the world convinced that he's a president. He's just presiding over proceedings. They're playing out the Saturn-Jupiter thing with the Biden-Trump thing. I mean, it's going to be very interesting what happens in Washington today. Trump has ordered the opening up of the FEMA camps, which is a capacity for 250,000. There's been all sorts of American troop movements, from what I've seen on like a mobile phone footage, coming through civilian airports. It could actually be also a trap, because this is not just about Donald Trump, this is about the Constitution as well. So what is your way to round everybody up? I mean, they're talking also about cordoning off London. I mean, you've only got to block 31 junctions of the M25 to pull that one off. You don't need that many people. And then you look at towns and cities, they've got ring roads for a reason, because they're running rings around us. That's why our middle pillar is Saturn, because what Saturn got, it's got rings around it. And we are, well, the question is not to be or not to be, and it's been changed physically in the material world as Dubai or not Dubai, which is why a lot of these flights go that way. But the actual real question to ask is BIBL, which is Bible. That is the script that we should be playing. You get to play all the parts. You get to play the lost Jews wandering around the desert, wondering what's going on, and eventually you'll find yourself that your body is your cross, and the system is sort of working against you. But once you find the light inside, you become that Christ. It will happen to everybody at one point or another. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's rubbish," because they're still going for the twisted bibble babble script of it. Everything has been twisted in this reality, but it's looking at the mirror and looking at the reflection in the mirror and seeing what it's showing you. So lockdown is about going within. The jab is about pricking your Christ consciousness, and the reset, the great reset, is going on internally within yourself. Some people are feeling it more than others, but more I think are going to feel it. We are basically magnetic. We're water. We've got metals in our blood, and we are influenced from what we feel from the moon and so on, and the movements of them. It has an effect on us. So, I mean, some people, if it's a full moon, have trouble sleeping, as one example. Anyway, I yield there.
Thanks, James. Nigel.
Well, I totally want to echo what Claudio and James have both just said there in closing. But one thing that I realised directly after what we now affectionately call the dark night of the soul, which I had 4 years ago, I know that we are all here. We made an agreement. We're not here by accident. When I say we, I mean us, those who can see what's going on. We were forewarned. We were told that what we're going through now would happen, and we agreed to come here for whatever reason to grow ourselves spiritually, to help others, to perhaps meet our soulmate. And I was talking to a male friend of mine the other day, and we're quite close when it comes to what we know. My soulmate could be James, could be Claudio, could be you. And but I don't use the word believe anymore. I've kicked it out of my vocabulary. I totally know, and I understand that we made a conscious decision to incarnate into this realm for what we are going through and for what we are about to go through. James is totally correct that Trump is a pretty good actor. But so many people still believe in this left-right paradigm, even though, they call it right-wing politics and left-wing politics, and they're two wings on the same bird. We have been duped. We have been lied to. We have been deceived. So were our parents, and so were our grandparents. This has been going on far, far longer than most people can even comprehend. But it doesn't go back 2,000 years. It all goes back a few hundred, likely to somewhere around the 15th century. But that's for another day. But I actually feel privileged and honoured to be part of the podcast with you, Karen, with James, and with Claudia. This is a wonderful experience for me, and I'm so happy to be part of it. So before we end, can I suggest, I don't even know Claudio's YouTube channel. Can we tell the people watching this, guys, where they can find our information? Maybe starting with you, Claudio.
Yep, that's just my name, Claudio Silvaggi on YouTube, and if you just Google Udemy, you'll see, because it's a unique. I guess hashtag saying whatever. It's you can just Google Udemy and videos will come up. But my YouTube channel is Claudio Silvaggi. My Facebook is Claudio Silvaggi, and my website is, our website is iutemy.com.
Could you spell your surname? Claudio, most people can spell, but Silvaggi, could you spell that for people?
Sure. Silvaggi. So if you just Google Udemy, it'll come up. Some YouTube videos will come up.
Okay, great. What about you, James? Anybody out there that doesn't know you, can you tell them how they can find you?
Yeah, I could say might be easier if Karen puts links in the description, but I mean,
I do.
Yeah, the channel is the character James Brockhurst. On Facebook, I'm Enil Murga, another character. They're just aspects. Yeah, that's all I've got really. I'm looking at I've got about 4 videos on YouTube as well, but I need to sort of add a few more on there so they're concurrent with the YouTube ones really. But yeah, I've got the contact details and the about section on the homepage of my channel. So anybody wants to contact me, please do.
The reason I suggest this is that since the 4 of us have been getting together and doing these podcasts, Karen's grown by like 500 subs. She's gone from 1.6 to 2.1 thousand in the few short weeks that we've been doing this together. So obviously we're resonating with some people.
But it might be my content as well, Nigel. It might be all the things that I put out that is doing it. Because I go on Facebook and I go into a lot of groups. So it might be what I'm doing. Anyway, carry on.
And what I was just about to say was, you know, although it appears that since it's you know, since you guys have been coming together, Karen does have a lot of groups on Facebook, and that's obviously helped. And she does put a lot of independent content out there, which is really, really good. But you know, nevertheless, I'm sure there are people out there that listen to Karen and subscribe to Karen's channel that they maybe not necessarily know who we are as individuals. So, you know, it comes from all genres. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's down to us that Karen's channel's grown. It's down to her and her bloody hard work, and she does do a lot of work. And she always puts the links in her description. But I just thought it might be a nice way to end this podcast by telling people where they can find us. And for me, it's The Devil's Playground with a number 2, because my first one was, it was YouTubed. They didn't like what I was saying. So, yeah, but I mean, all power to Karen, and thank you so much, Karen, for doing all this and for all your hard work and for your dedication, not just here on YouTube, but on Facebook and the other places that you spend so much time on. So a big thank you to Karen and thanks to Claudio and thanks to James.
Hey, well, I just like people getting the truth as best as possible with what we know. That's what I like. And this information's to go out, isn't it? It's not like I keep it for myself, put it on the channel to go out to everybody else. But it's been a really great hangout. Thank you so much, Claudio. Thank you so much, James. And thank you so much, Nigel. And I'm sure we'll talk again. So, yeah, brilliant. Thanks a lot, guys. And yeah, we'll be back soon. So, Claudio, mwah, James, mwah, Nigel, mwah, chat room, mwah. Anyway, that's it from us. Do you all want to say goodbye? And then we'll be going for now.
Arrivederci.
Yeah, Claudio.
Yeah, take care, guys. Happy New Year, and stop wearing the face nappy. For God's sake, stop it.
Never even worn it myself, but James, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I suppose as I end most of my videos, unless they cut out because the memory's full, it's ta-ta for now, and love to you all and appreciate everybody that's listened in and took part, and hopefully it's given you insights and sort of, that's why that's happening, and help fill in a few blanks for people, and just whatever's, I mean, we're going through the greatest time now of what is being shown externally, which is all fear porn, and this is where you've got to find that inner strength and be the best version of yourself, because it's temporary, it's all illusory, it's a veneer. And like I said yesterday on a video, you put anything with a veneer top out in the rain, water is spirit and memory, it starts to crack and lift, and it reveals what really is under there. And this is all what's going on at the moment, but it's nothing to fear. The outcome is going to be fantastic.
Thanks for that, James. Really hope so on that one. It can't get any worse, I don't think, for a lot of people, but yeah, hopefully the road is up. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate all your effort, all of you. Anyway, it's goodbye from us, and we'll see you soon.